and welcome to another episode. Now, today, little bit different of recently, and it's all about dental work. Now, don't you go screaming and running away from the TV screen. I'm afraid this one is really good because it might actually alleviate your fears of the dentist. Is AI and digital technology coming to your dentist? Well, let's find out a little bit more. Jordan, thank you for coming in, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
You have the most interesting product. Just explain a little bit more about your role and basically about what your company does.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I'm the sales director and the co-founder of YourCrown. We are a dental lab based in Glasgow. We do digital dentistry a little bit different from most people. Essentially what we do is we help dentists set up in-house labs for our equipment from no cost at all to themselves. And essentially what our product allows you to do as a dentist is do 4 easy steps. Scan a patient in, send it to us, to which case we design the indication, send it back to a printer that prints in-house in your dentistry. And then all the dentist needs to do is finish the product, put it in your mouth, which means you can come in and get a dental crown in less than an hour.
So do you think then that this type of technology is really going to improve dentists' and patients' care?
It definitely should, and it definitely can. It's just about getting more and more dentists to use this, like, a widespread enough plane, that it's going to start to see a huge effect for not only patients, but the NHS and the dentists themselves as well.
Do you think, though, that some of maybe the older dentists are a little bit maybe reluctant to sort of get involved with digital technology? Do you think the word actually, digital technology, sort of like makes them freak out?
So the thing is with dentists is, and I'm probably one of the only people in the dental industry, let's say this, okay, I kind of feel sorry for them a little bit. They have to wear so many hats. They have to be salespeople, they have to be engineers, they have to be technicians, they have to be artists, they have to do all this sort of stuff. And when you're, been doing something for 40, 50 years, having to wear all these hats, and then something brand new comes out again, I can quite understand why you're sitting there going, no, I'm not interested. But I think it's about looking at the, not younger as in 20-year-olds, but kind of the younger dentists in terms of, 40 or 50 or below, and start getting them to use these digital technologies, because it's not only going to be beneficial for the patients, but for them as well. We are trying to get all of our dentists to start scanning, so no more impressions. A great thing I have a triangle-shaped mouth, okay? So
Right.
I had braces, but you would never know this, okay?
I have braces too. I look like Metal Mickey.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was the same. So now it took me 15 impressions to get my braces on, okay? Now, I'm not scared of the dentist or anything, but that experience was absolutely horrific for me.
It's really grotesque. And and it tastes horrible.
It's just, it's absolutely disgusting. Now, if I could have got a scan, which would have took 10 minutes, that would have been easy. But I think back to that point now where how much of the dentist's time I must have took up to do that. And that is completely eliminated. And it's things like this that getting this younger generation of dentists involved over the next 10, 15 years will completely change how dentistry is run in the UK.
So it's like that word technology, but is it simple to use? When they get it, what type of equipment and things do they need?
This is something that I think we do as a company very, very well. Okay, because everything takes time to learn. Okay, anyone that comes and tells you, there's a great, a lot of technology, there's plug and play, right? Most things aren't plug and play. You've had some sort of, experience with it before. But with our technology, because we supply all of our equipment for free, we're the ones that have to continuously maintain it. And because we only make money if you use it, we have an active presence in your clinic to make sure that you use the product, okay? So the more training you need, the more we can provide. Scanning, most of my clients can scan in 3 minutes because that's how much training we actually provide them. With the printer, we're sitting talking about pressing 2 buttons and it actually starts printing.
Wow.
That's it. So this technology, I think, is really easy to adapt to and really easy to actually get on with. But even if you're someone who struggles a little bit more, that's where we're here. And unlike any other provider that you buy the equipment from, well, after that you've bought it from them, that's their job done, really. They've got their money and all the training and support they give you is now a cost. With us, it's the complete opposite. we only get paid if you actually use the equipment. So it's in our active interest to actually come and make sure that you feel supported and feel the training's done.
So just imagine I'm Emily the dentist here. No, I definitely wouldn't be, I can assure you of that. But just imagine I'm coming in as a dentist saying, I've seen this on your website, I want some training. How long, just say for the crown side of it, would it take to train and to do that? What's the process?
A day. You know, we sit with you for a day, and within that day, you and your team should be more than competent to work our equipment. You know, if I had to go through the process, how the process works for the dentist, you know, they scan the patient, which is in their clinical time anyway, so that's not a problem at all. They send then, through our software, they send us a lab slip telling us what they would like us to design. And they then get the design back, and then all they have to do is approve that design on our system. So we actually give the dentist say for the first time as well over what goes into the mouth. They send that to their printer, press play, it does all the hard work. They then take it off the printer, put it in a wash unit and a cure unit, and then they just stain and glaze it up to make it nice and shiny.
That's the actual benefits of this. We'll look at it from a patient's point of view first.
Yeah, of course.
Because probably not many people know, I used to be a little dental nurse when I was 16. It was one of my Saturday jobs. Didn't last long because I didn't like all the gunk and everything else and sort of made my stomach turn. But I could see the patient's true anxiety. Some people say having a crown fitted and they went to pieces. Just how quick is this process for a patient?
So for a patient, they would come in, they would get prepped. So that would maybe be half an hour. Then they could literally go and wait in the waiting room for an hour and then come back and get their crown fitted.
I mean, that is actually saving having multiple appointments.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So it's not only saving multiple appointments, it's saving multiple trips for the patient. It's saving, like, you know, if you're a patient that suffers from anxiety for the dentist, you go away for a week and all you're thinking for those 7 days is, oh, I need to go back and get that crown fitted. It's much easier to go and sit down in a waiting room for an hour, sit there, calm down, and then get back in that chair and have it done in one day.
As far as the dentist is concerned, I would imagine probably one of the greatest benefits is more appointments, because I know when you try and get a dentist appointment, you're waiting a while.
It's not about more patients they can see. They get the option.
Yeah.
They can go and play golf if they want, go and pick up their children. It's their time that they get back, so they can then choose to do things. And what we try and encourage our dentists to do is use that time. You know, if I asked you what's the difference between a zirconia crown and a composite crown, you have no idea. And no one does. Like, you know, no patient actually sits there and makes an informed decision because they don't know what the dentists are talking about. What a patient does understand, though, is would you like it this week, next week, or in 1 hour?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's something that we think dentists can use not only to benefit them, but benefit their patient.
The other thing as well, there must be sort of some environmental impact as well. You know, I think everybody's trying to be a bit more sustainable, eco-friendly. How does your solution work with that?
We offer now what's called 2-appointment dentures. The idea of this is you go in, you get scanned, you leave, you come back maybe next week or next 2 weeks and get your denture fitted. Okay? Now, we worked out between the lab, the patient and the dentist, it took something like 16 car journeys off the road.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, we need to think that obviously the dentist needs to go in and out to work. The patient needs to go in and out. But then the lab, if you're sending something physically, which you don't need to do with us, that has to go in and out of the as well. So when you think of an impression stage, a special tray stage, a try-in stage, any adjustments, all these sorts, like, so that's 4 I've just gave you there. But that's 4 times 3. So you very, very quickly, or 4 times 4. So that's very, very quickly, you're taking all those car journeys off the road just by doing something in a digital way.
I know something you spoke about just before we came on air, and that was the benefits of like what you're seeing some dentists do, and that is they will have like denture days, crown days, and things like that.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult to be a dentist, I think. You know, you need to balance a lot of stuff. But one of the things that we've encouraged dentists to do is, because we can now do crowns in an hour, or you can do 2-appointment dentures, advertise a denture day. So have a day that you're saying to everybody, come and get a denture and we'll give you 20% off. Fill your entire day with dentures. So all you do is spend that day scanning, or if you're really smart, get your dental nurse to spend all that day scanning. We'll design them, you can print them off, finish them. You know, in the next week, get all these patients in and just fit 10, 15 dentures. And then it's up to the dentist what they want to charge for the dentures, but you've probably just 10, 20x'd.
Yeah.
what you would normally have.
I mean, just with regards to a crown, say, what would be the cost to a dentist with your system for a crown?
So for our crowns, we charge £25.
That is some saving.
Yeah. Most people think I'm mad, to be deadly honest. So for the fact that we give all the equipment for free, we maintain it, we give you all the training, and then I charge £25, most people tend to think we're absolutely insane. But we do it for a couple of reasons. One, we want more dentists to adopt this technology because it's more efficient for them and us. Two, we care about the NHS. We want dentists to still be able to provide work to the NHS, and we genuinely feel that a lot of NHS work isn't profitable, but if we can make our prices low enough that it is profitable for a dentist, more of them might continue to do it. And the third thing is we're a volume-based business, so the more work we get, the better it is for us. So we would rather, kind of keep it as most cost-effective as we humanly can.
So now I've touched on crowns, but what other things do you do?
So
what's in the pipeline?
Yeah. So we actually are about to come out with our own chrome dentures, which is metal dentures, hopefully in May. We're also looking at doing sports mouth guards very soon. But right now we do dentures, which is partials, fulls, copy dentures as well. We do all crown and bridge work, as we do implants, and we do night guards, we do splints. So we've got about between 16 and 20 indications you can do with our service.
And that's a real great bonus for a dentist to have all that done so quick.
Yeah.
Easy.
One thing I say to all my dentists, pretty much every patient should be leaving with a bite splint. It's up to the dentist what they prescribe, but most patients should be leaving with a bite splint. You can print a bite splint off in 20 minutes. If you think about it, where you scan all your patients, you just send them through, as you get them, print off 10 bite splints, get the patient in, hand them their bite splint, make sure it fits. We're off they go. And again, that dentist is generating revenue. That patient is better served because they should be wearing a bite splint, and everybody's happier rather than the way it currently works. So,
what do you think are some of the misconceptions, do you think, with digital technology? What's the hardest thing to try and get a dentist to understand of how good it is?
Some misconceptions would be it's difficult to use. A lot of people seem to think it's really, really difficult. A lot of people seem to think you need to be some sort of mastermind technician in order to use this sort of stuff, and you definitely don't. I don't blame that all on the dentist, because one key thing I would say is a lot of this technology is very expensive. If I asked you, Emily, your phone in your pocket, is it the same one you had 3 years ago?
No, actually, I think it is about borderline.
Yeah, okay. So if you had to think over the last 10 years, I'm not going to ask you, it's your personal thing, but the last 10 years, how many times you've changed your phone? That's how quick technology is changing.
Yeah.
And even for dentists, that's the same. There's always a new scanner, there's always a new printer, there's always a new chair, and they're constantly being asked to reinvest every single year. But with our service, they don't have to do that because we've put it in. It's not cost them anything to set up and start offering this. And believe it or not, we offer a future guarantee, which means that when our technology is outdated, we switch it out for a new one. So we constantly evolve, and they have the most up-to-date equipment all the time without them having to.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, the other thing that I thought would be useful, particularly for dentists, is like emergency care. I'll give you a little scenario.
Mm-hmm.
My poor friend, not so long back, fell off a horse, and her front tooth came out, and she had a wedding to go to about a week later. Now, granted, they did give her something to fill the gap, but she looked like Bugs Bunny. There's no two ways about it. It spoilt the wedding photograph. She looked miserable because she was all the time. Yeah. This type of technology must be able to help, especially emergency patients.
Yeah, so obviously it depends on the emergency, and it depends what the patient needs. What I say to dentists is a tool in your toolbox. It's, something that you can start, with the equipment you can now offer immediate care almost. And if you've got someone in, so we get it all the time, I'll get a phone call on a Thursday. Oh, I've just had a patient and something's happened and they're going on holiday on Monday. And then most other labs would be scrambling, like they need to get it done. Ours, we just put it through our normal system to kind of get done. So it's really nice and simple and quick in that way. It's a game changer, which hopefully doesn't sound too, I feel that's very braggy, and I don't mean it in that way, but yes, it's definitely more efficient for the dentists.
I mean, we are moving into a world now more of AI.
Mhm.
and that technology. How is yours aligned with that?
You know, obviously we've got some of our designs are starting to happen with AI, not all, and we always give the dentist a choice, because dentists very much, you know, still want someone to design their product.
Yeah.
But we are starting to work with AI in terms of our designs. A lot of our software uses AI integration and that sort of stuff as well now. That's only going to get further. Anyone outside of the technology space saying things like, "Oh, you know, we need to stop this," or it's, you know, AI's, you know, not going to be able to do everything and blah blah blah. That's just not true. It's getting better and better every single year, and more companies need to start adopting it, because again, it's a huge game changer. We even use it for silly things now, like emails and outreach and that sort of stuff. So it's kind of seeped into every part of the business. And I think businesses need to change to accommodate that.
Do you think that's the thing though? Like, you know, with dentists, they've got their equipment, and I know from when I used to work, dental equipment is jolly expensive.
Hmm.
You know, but you know, when they're trying to upgrade their equipment, would you suggest to them that they look at you because you give them
Hmm.
basically the equipment, that is probably a good way of having a transition?
Yeah, so that happens quite often, to be honest. So there used to be I shouldn't promote this, but I'll say it. There used to be a product called the CEREC machine, and it could do a crown an hour, but a whole setup could cost you around £100,000, and it could only do crowns, and you had to design it yourself. So it was a good machine for the time, but definitely I think we've supplanted it. But think about that, it's £100,000, and you know, when you sit down with dentists and you start discussing like ROI, um, they very quickly go, oh, I need to see a lot of patients to get that money back. And it's like, even if they're private, you know, they need to see a lot of patients to get that money back. And that's where our key thing is. It's like, well, instead of replacing it, if they've got one, or instead of buying one, just let us do it. You know, we'll give you the stuff for free. You can do so many more other things. We do your design work for you. It's a bit of a no-brainer.
Now, you work primarily with dentists, but do you think that this, or you may already do it, do you do any work maybe with like NHS, with like, you know, reconstruction or anything else?
So we also have a medical business. So we do a couple of different things. We are currently exploring with the NHS a neck collar, um, for people with like osteoporosis and that sort of stuff. We also are currently developing a product to help um, spinal guides, essentially is what they're called, for people again with the same kind of conditions. Um, yeah, and as a business, so as much as we're a dental business, we're a medical business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and our technology can not only be used, you know, in the field we are, but well beyond that. And we've dabbled in it a little bit. We know where our, you know, we know where our bread's buttered in the dental industry, if that makes sense. So we're definitely never going to leave that. But yeah, like we've definitely had universities approach us and stuff and ask us to help develop products and stuff. And as that continues, who knows where we'll go in the future with it.
Now, I know that you've got another partner, Robin, who's
Yes.
not here today.
He's not here.
Robin, you gave Jordan the short straw. But basically, what was your backgrounds? Are you from medical backgrounds, or are you more from technology backgrounds?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Robin actually has run a digital scanning company for the last, I don't know, may make him older than he is actually now, but maybe for the
He'll
last
love you
40
for
years.
that.
That's okay. So yeah, 40 odd years or so. And the way Robin got into 3D was Robin was scanning digital documents up. That was what his company does and still does. He then started working doing digital processes for museums.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we're hopefully about to do is the slave records in Barbados. So his company about to do it. So it's, I think it's the largest unbroken like slave record in history. So Robin's company is just about to, well, hopefully just about to digitize that. So because he started getting involved in museums started asking, oh, is there any way you could scan in like a statue or a vase or that sort of stuff? The way Robin is, he started looking into that. And so then it was 3D, like scanning. And then that led on to, oh, could you recreate it? Which led on to 3D printing. And that's how his side of things on 3D printing started. For myself, I actually worked in the sport industry.
Wow.
And then I left that and created a software company that developed an app. This app was all about hospitality, and helping them recover from COVID and that sort of stuff. So we developed an app for under £5,000, launched it, got it going. started to make some money, so it was very, very good. So my background is very much more the technology and software side. However, I met Robin, and he was looking, we had a really good chat, and he was looking for someone to possibly look at dental for 3D, because it came up in conversation with quite a few people. And I said, yeah, I'd come on and I'd help him out, and that was fine, much more in a sales capacity. And over, I don't know what it was around 16 months, I just kept looking at the industry and kept going, this is done wrong. Like, this is just done wrong.
I must admit, I can't believe it's not sort of been explored more.
It's because of how it's set up. So, you know, the way digital dentistry works is I come to your practice and I ask you to give me £50,000, you know, roughly, right? For you then to have to completely change your processes and completely change the way you do things is a huge investment for them. And it just kind of bothered me, to be honest. I said, this is done wrong. And I sat down with Robin and we had a discussion, and I kind of went, well, wait a minute, we believe in this. Does this work? And we're like, yeah, it works. So we'll put our money where our mouth was. You don't have to pay us anything for this stuff. We'll do it. Like, you know, there you go, have the equipment, you work that equipment. All we ask for in return is to do your design work. And it kind of flew from there. So within a year, as I said, we had one of the biggest dental practices in Scotland. We had several other small independent practices. We now work with 2 other groups as well. And it just kind of grown year on year. And this year, actually, we're, for the first time, so we do in-house work as well. Yeah. But for this year, we're going to launch a proper service to do in-house work as well for dentists. So they can not only, so they're going to have 2 options. It's going to be called YourCrown Direct, where they do it themselves, or it's going to be called YourCrown Lab, where we're going to do it for them. And what the aim of this is to actually even help more. So a dentist could use our product for a couple of months through us, decide it works, decide they're happy with it, and then take on a printer themselves. So every single thing we do is about ease to help people get into the digital world of dentistry, because before I felt it was just knee-jerky. It was, you know,
it's a bit antiquated, wasn't it?
Yeah. And as I said, I'm probably one of the only people in the dental industry that feel sorry for dentists sometimes. But it felt to me like all the risk was on the dentist, and we kind of wanted to show no.
Yeah, I must say, I've not really felt that sorry for dentists when they're holding a drill in the hand and a big spiky thing that wants to go in there, you know.
No one does. No one does. I think I'm the only one. But it's as I said, it's because they need to wear so many hats. And if we can take one of those hats off them, make their life a bit easier.
Apart from England and Scotland and Britain in the whole, I hear Africa.
Yeah, so this is another one of Robin's things, I suppose. So Robin does a lot of international business, and after we set up YourCrown and it started doing quite well, we started going, right, well, the UK is the UK, but where else could we be going? So we now have projects in the Caribbean. We've got projects in Nigeria, as you've probably seen. We're also looking at Indonesia and the Philippines and that sort of stuff as well. And you know, each are for different reasons, but one of the reasons we're looking to set up in Africa is because our products are extremely cost effective. Yeah. And right now, most people don't know this, but right now, a lot of Africa, South America, the Caribbean, they actually buy their dental products from China. So what they do is they'll see the patient, send the impressions to China, and get the digital crown or the crowns back from China, which takes weeks, as you can imagine, and isn't actually that cost effective. So what our products, what we can do is we can set up these 3D printers, and not only are they going to start being able to offer their people, but actually for a cheaper price than they currently do at this moment in time. You know, going to Nigeria and finding out that our products are actually cheaper than what Nigerians currently pay was very interesting, to be honest. But it was also really nice because we've had dentists now say to us, wait, we're going to be able to offer like dental work. Yeah, just through this process.
It just sort of sprung to my mind there that you could really I can imagine them being like, you know, these medical trucks. Because I mean, there's a lot of people who cannot afford a medical treatment in these countries, and to be able
the UK as well, to be deadly honest, like you know.
But like, you know, to go to say Africa and to have like a medical truck with all your equipment, you know, a charity, and then being able to give people treatment instead of them being in pain. That would probably be an amazing, proud moment for you.
Well, it's interesting you've said that. So we actually currently work with a charity called Dentaid. So we actually they use our dentures currently.
Oh,
And what Dentaid's mission is to do is to take people that have had, are homeless or troubled backgrounds and that sort of stuff, and essentially, give them dentures and medical treatment to help fix their teeth. Not only from a pain point of view, but if you think about it, that you've had a troubled past for whatever reason, and then you're trying to change your life and go for a job interview.
yeah,
If you go in and your teeth are broken and yellow, and it sounds really horrible, but that's what people notice. People
yeah,
look and they go, maybe not. You could be in the nicest suit, but people do notice that. And this is what Dentaid's one of their big missions is to do. So we actually already support them. So it's our dentures they use with us, but we make them in house for them because
yeah.
we met them and we just business isn't all just about money, in my opinion. There should be certain.
I was going to
So,
say that must be, there must be some real rewarding parts to your
yeah,
business.
it's. I just think it doesn't matter how big a business is. I think we all do have some personal responsibility. I'm not trying to act like I'm some sort of saint or anything like that either. It's not like that at all. It's these people want to help people, and we have the services and technology to do so. Why wouldn't we?
Is there any particular success story or story that's really resonated with you that you've woken up that day and thought, you know what, I'm glad I do this job?
So that's what it's quite strange for us because we're quite behind all that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. It's the dentist that gets the glory, if that makes sense. Because we're behind all that in the shadows, and that's something I think technicians have felt for. If you ever speak to a dental technician,
Yeah.
that's very much something they think. But several dentists turn around and give us stories of dentists of patients now that hated their previous dentures, for example,
Mm.
or they've had an NHS denture for 10 years and never been able to
Yeah.
replace it. And that's changed now because we've offered them a service that is more cost effective and quicker. They've been able to just come in and get this changed. Working with Dentaid has been fantastic. Going to Africa has been fantastic. And I think if I had to say a personal success story, this might sound, it's a bit closer to home. My father had a huge issue when he was younger. He smashed all his teeth. He went to the dental hospital. That didn't go well. But he's never wore his bottom denture before. Okay, he can't wear it. It's painful and that sort of stuff. So he's never had. And when we came up with the 2 appointment dentures, I was like, right, we're going to try this on my dad, and he was not for having it at all. But I thought if we could make a denture for my dad that he was comfortable with, we could make it for anyone.
Mm.
And now I'm happy to see my father now wears his bottom denture and has done for the last, I don't know how long it's been now, but for the last year, 2 years or so. So that's a personal thing to me that
Yeah.
I've kind of been able to fix an issue. So if I can do that for anyone else, that would be cracking.
I have to bring this subject up because it's one of my favourite subjects. Do you think that this type of work that you do and the speed it's done will stop people going to Turkey and having turkey teeth?
Do you know what? It's something that's funny in our industry. It's very funny because there's lots of good Turkish dentists, to be deadly honest. But I hope so, and the main reason I hope so is because I hope that through our service, dentists can start offering more patients. I don't think people go to Turkey because they necessarily think the care's better. I think it's cheaper
Yeah.
and they can get it done. That's there's already, we've heard of food deserts and stuff. People are starting to talk about dental deserts. If we can just increase capacity just a little bit through our service and more people feel they can come to their local dentist, then that'll be a good thing for me. I think we've got a lot of work to do to be
Yeah,
honest, if that's going to happen.
because there's people who do have it done and then they have complications and then they have to go back to a dentist here to
Yeah.
fix it all.
Yeah, and the other issue is as a dentist, with the way the rules in the GDC work in this country, you're then taking on the responsibility for that patient,
Mm.
and that can be quite a difficult thing to do because you don't know what that dentist has done.
No.
So I completely understand. What I would encourage everybody to get their work done here, but I think as the dental community and the government, we need to look at why people are doing it and start asking ourselves, like, why are people going away and having this done, and what can we solve? Can we make things more cost effective for patients? Some dentists will say no, and that's totally fine. But can we do that? Can we provide more appointments? And how do we provide more appointments? Because it's not good enough to say, oh, we need more dentists.
No.
We're always going to need more dentists. That's
We are.
never, ever, ever not going to happen. So what can we do with the current system to kind of make it more effective? So you can't do an impression. You know, kind of like I can't take an dental impression, and neither could nurses in a lot of ways. Like, but what everybody can do is scan. So everybody's allowed to scan under the GDC. So that's a fantastic thing that's opened up, that it's not a medical procedure. You're putting a scanner in someone's mouth and you're moving it around the mouth. So this might allow, you know, more people to come in to do scan-ins, like scanning patients, without having to go through a rigorous GDC process, which is a fantastic thing because there's no risk to the patient and it'll free up more time for the dentists.
Well, final question. I want you to imagine now that I'm Wes Streeting, you know, I'm the Minister for Health, and I want you to convince me now.
Well, the cameras are on, so that would be a bad thing. No.
Convince me now that, you know, you're trying to convince him now that this is the way to go, and how, you know, they could even help and play a part in getting this, especially with NHS practicing dentists.
Yeah, there's hundreds of things the government could do. One thing the government can do straight away is look at legislation and keep it up with modern technology. There is nothing more infuriating than a company coming out with something brand new and innovative and then having to wait 3 years for it to be approved. Something they could tick a box tomorrow and, you know, completely improve. The next thing they could do is actually encourage dentists to use this stuff. So in Scotland, for example, we've got called the SDR, which is how dentists get paid. You know, it took, I think it was last year, they got paid for doing scanning. Scanning's been out for 15 years. And they only get, so simple little things like this that could completely improve how fast this technology is taken on. You could even have things in the SDR, say if you use this process, this is what you get paid. And if you use this process, this is what you get paid. If someone uses a digital process and it's faster, then maybe we could pay them just slightly more because they've just freed up another slot for a patient.
Exactly.
So there's 100. I could sit and talk about this all day, but there's there's 3 clear things that could be changed tomorrow that would not only help access to dentistry, but help it be more affordable for the NHS, because dentists are leaving the NHS in droves, and they're leaving the NHS in droves because they make more money as private dentists.
Yeah.
And also, we don't have time to go on this. A lot of people don't understand the business of being a dentist. They think they just get paid by the NHS, and it's not that simple. So, you know, by doing these legislative matters, I'm not asking for more money, but doing these legislative matters will completely change the way that we do dentistry in this country, and it needs to change.
You know, thank you for coming in, and government ministers, get in touch. Because, you know, this is important. Our nation's health is important, and especially children's teeth and such like are important for our future. Jordan, thank you so much for coming in. And I have no doubt that your products are just going to go strength to strength in the future with more to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much.